If you think modern insulation is the peak of human building intelligence, that belief is about to get very uncomfortable. Because 1,000 years ago, long before foam boards, vapour barriers or energy audits, people living in brutal northern climates were building walls out of mud, turf and bog earth that still outperform a shocking number of houses thrown up after World War II. This isn't nostalgia. This is physics, material science and hard-earned survival knowledge we quietly abandoned. Let's get straight into it. Vikings weren't guessing, and they weren't romantic primitives. Viking Bog-Mud walls weren't some accidental folk solution. They were engineered through generations of trial, failure, freezing winters and hunger. These people didn't have the luxury of inefficiency. If a wall leaked heat, you died. If it trapped moisture, you got sick. If it cracked, the wind finished the job. Survival filtered bad ideas fast. What they built was a composite wall system. Dense earth pulled from bogs, mixed with fibrous plant matter, layered with turf blocks and often backed by timber frames. The result was mass, breathability and insulation in one system. No plastic, no chemicals, no synthetic shortcuts. And here's the uncomfortable part. These walls worked so well that modern builders had to reinvent the same principles under new names centuries later. Thermal mass is the secret modern insulation keeps dancing around. Bog-mud walls excel because of thermal mass. Not R-value marketing numbers. Real heat behaviour over time. A thick earthen wall absorbs heat slowly and releases it slowly. That means interior temperatures stay stable even when outside conditions swing hard. In winter, heat from a hearth soaked into the wall and radiated back for hours after the fire died. In summer, the same mass absorbed daytime heat and kept interiors cool. This wasn't theory. It was lived experience. Modern insulation focuses almost entirely on resistance to heat flow. That's half the equation. Vikings solved the other half with mass. Many post-World War II homes, built light and fast, lose heat the moment the heater shuts off. Viking walls kept working while everyone slept. Modern walls are terrified of moisture. For good reason. Trapped water destroys wood, grows mould and kills insulation performance. So we wrap houses in plastic layers and pray nothing goes wrong. Viking Bog-Mud walls didn't trap moisture. They managed it, actually. Bog earth is naturally hygroscopic. It absorbs moisture when humidity rises and releases it when the air dries. That breathing action keeps interior conditions balanced, without fans, sensors or power. No condensation trapped in cavities, no hidden rot. The wall itself regulates humidity. This is why many turf and earth structures survived centuries in wet climates, while modern houses, they rot from the inside out within mere decades. Thickness was not a flaw, my friends. It was indeed the feature. Viking walls, you see, were often 2 to 3 feet thick. Now, that might sound a bit absurd until you truly understand what thickness buys you. It's wind resistance, thermal buffering, acoustic dampening, and structural redundancy. Quite remarkable, isn't it? You know, a thin modern wall relies heavily on precision. Just one puncture, one failed seal, or one bad install, and the performance, well, it collapses. But thick earthen walls, they are forgiving. Small cracks? They don't matter much at all. Air movement slows to a crawl, and temperature gradients, they flatten out beautifully. That thickness also explains why these structures handled storms that would shred lightweight modern buildings. Mass doesn't rattle. It doesn't flex itself to death. Fire behaviour tells another story nobody likes to talk about. Bog-mud walls don't burn, period. You know, in eras when fire meant total loss, this really mattered. Timber frames, well, they charred slowly. Earth walls, on the other hand, absorbed heat, so fires tended to stay localized. Now, compare that to modern foam insulation, which unfortunately releases toxic smoke and actually accelerates fire spread. After World War II, speed and cost, well, they took priority. Fire resistance, it became a code checkbox, not a design philosophy. Viking builders designed as if fire was inevitable, because, well, it was. Labour replaced money and skill replaced dependency. Bog-mud walls required time and coordination, not factories. Materials were local. Repairs were local. Knowledge was passed down orally and visually. No dependence on distant supply chains. That matters now more than ever. Modern insulation depends on global manufacturing, petroleum inputs, and constant replacement cycles. Viking systems were maintainable with shovels and hands. If part of a wall failed, you fixed it with earth, not invoices. Quite a different approach, wouldn't you say? So, why did this knowledge vanish after World War II? It's a mystery that still puzzles many. You see, the post-World War II building boom needed speed. Suburbs expanded fast, almost like a wildfire. Lightweight materials shipped easily, making the process even quicker. Labour, however, became expensive, and skill was, well, replaced by standardized components. Quite a transformation. Earthen construction didn't fit that model. It couldn't be rushed, it couldn't be branded. And, well, it didn't generate repeat purchases. So we labelled it primitive and moved on. Now we spend fortunes trying to retrofit buildings with systems that, recreate what mud walls did naturally. What modern science now confirms, Vikings already knew. Thermal lag, vapour permeability, passive regulation. These are, modern academic terms for ancient practices. Studies consistently show thick earthen walls maintain more stable interior temperatures and healthier humidity ranges than, well, many conventional builds. This isn't about going backward. It's about, recognizing that progress forgot some things worth keeping. How survivalists and preppers can apply this today. You don't need to build a full Viking longhouse to use this knowledge. Start with wall mass. Earth berming on the north side of a structure dramatically reduces heat loss. And, adding interior earth and plaster over existing walls increases thermal mass and humidity control immediately. Cob mixes, which use clay, sand and straw, can be applied as secondary layers. Even just a few inches can really change how a space behaves. It's important to focus on thickness where the wind hits hardest. And remember to use breathable finishes. Avoid plastic barriers as they can trap moisture, which is something you definitely want to steer clear of. For outbuildings, root cellars or workshops, full earth walls are both practical and affordable. The idea is to dig where you build and build where you dig. That closed loop, well, it really does matter in a resource-tight future. So, use soil testing to find the clay content. High clay binds, but, too much will crack. It's important to balance with sand and fibre. Build in lifts, letting each layer cure slowly. And, protect the tops with wide eaves. Water is managed from above, not trapped inside. Combine earth walls with timber roofs and stone foundations. This hybrid approach really mirrors Viking logic and adapts well to modern needs. This is not fantasy living, it's resilient building. Why this matters more now than ever. Energy costs climb, supply chains wobble, climate swings harder, lightweight houses age badly under stress. Bog-mud walls don't care about fuel prices. They don't need replacement insulation every decade. They don't panic when systems fail. They just sit there, quiet, heavy, effective. That's not romanticism. That's engineering born from survival. If this kind of old-world knowledge matters to you, if you want to understand how people endured without modern safety nets, and if you believe history still has teeth, then you're in the right place. Subscribe to Old World Prep. Share this with someone who still thinks progress only moves forward. And keep digging, because the past has more answers than we were taught to hear.